What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Fourth and Long Podcast. Welcome to episode 16 of the Fourth and Long Podcast, man. Once again, I am joined by the co-host, the bald beast, Jalen Johnson. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? Still calling me the bald beast.
Yeah, you're stuck with that forever. Just get used to
uh, yeah, I feel it. I feel it.
it. So we actually have a different kind of show for you all this week. We're still gonna have our segments of the things we like, and I'm going to give you my top five from the NFL 15 recap. But we're going to try to do things a little differently, a little less segmented. Besides those two, going to try to have a little more of a conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Please give us your feedback by following us on Twitter. You can do that at Fourth Long Radio, capital F, capital L, capital R, or on Instagram, which is at Fourth and Long Radio. That is the number 4 TH and Long Radio. Or you can also, one thing I highly recommend is I can subscribe to this, to the show, and to give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing, and let's get a little interaction going.
Just a little interaction. We have some every week, but we just want more. Like you
Join
want
the
it more
party,
daily.
man. Join the
Yeah,
fun, because
it's
a
fun over here,
blast.
man.
It's what we do, and you guys should really join, be a part of the Fourth and Long Nation. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
because we're gonna do it either way. So
yeah.
might as well enjoy it while we're doing it.
You better just accept. It's better just to accept it,
Yeah, exactly. Accept the fate that we're gonna be here for a while.
and there's nothing you could do about it, motherfuckers.
I am inevitable.
Oh boy.
Are
And
we
on
gonna get a
that note,
copyright strike?
yeah. Oh boy. On that note, let's roll into the things we like segment. Of course, this is what we do every week. Something from the sports week that we enjoy. And Jalen, I'm gonna let you start off this week.
Oh wow, really switching it up. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
just feeling real
Um,
nice.
this week in sports, we like just in general late season sports
Mm.
because there's always a lot of teams fighting for either the last postseason spot or people tanking
Trying
for
to
draft
clinch up the
picks.
playoffs and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it
So
could
you
be
never
like
know
the
what's going to
Giants
happen.
ruining their tank for draft picks by actually beating the Dolphins.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was one hell of a tank bowl.
It was a tank bowl for real. That was interesting. But it's
Hey, at
just
least
beautiful
Eli
to
Manning
see.
got back to 500.
Yeah, yeah. He's gonna probably retire with that. I really hope he doesn't play again next week.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, definitely Hall of Famer, but not on our NFL's 100
No,
list
not
remake,
close. Not close.
or as we should say, the Fourth and Long Podcast 100 list, which is
Because
better
we
than
actually
the
do it
NFL
right,
100
because the
list.
NFL can suck a dick.
Yeah, the NFL, they it's all politics and their stuff.
Yeah.
So
But late season sports, it's the most exciting time of the year, without a doubt.
definitely, definitely,
Like, what's better than people fighting for their playoff lives?
people fighting for their actual lives.
You like to watch that? That's fucked up, Jalen.
No, I don't watch that, but
You guys
they
all heard it
they
here. Jalen likes to watch people
wow.
die.
Okay, don't let's not do that. What was that Key and Peele skit for the Make a Wish kid?
Yeah,
He said his Make a Wish was to suck the last breath out of a dying man's mouth.
yeah. Is that what was that your wish?
That was not my Make a Wish. That was unfortunately was not my Make a Wish. I didn't think of it at the time.
Weak. All right. Oh man. But one of the things I like this week is fantasy football, cause your boy is finally in to the finals, man. Let's fucking go.
Mm.
Not really. I'm talking about my. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you. You guys can't see it, but I'm showing my applause. I'm blowing kisses to my fan.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
single-
It's
But it's
oh,
about
there
damn
we go.
time in this main league with my buddies. Best fantasy league in all of sports entertainment. We have the Dirty Dozen. It's what we do. We battle for the cock, Gamecock. You guys gotta watch out for that actually, because whoever wins between me and my good friend Jake, we're actually going to have a show. We're gonna have that whole league on. Me and Jalen going to pretty much just moderate. but we're gonna have like an hour or so of shit talking, and it's gonna be great. So just
Yeah, it would
keep a
definitely be a great show.
keep an eye out for that. That's gonna be here in a couple weeks. All right. But man, Drew Brees came in clutch. I was down by like 16 points going into Monday. I had Drew Brees left, and he was just making plays. I was finally not able to get eliminated in the second round. I started off like my first this like our fourth year in the
Hmm.
league, fourth year having this league. First season I won like 2 games. It was fucking awful. Then last 2 seasons I made it to the second round. This season finally making it to the finals, where I'm probably going to lose, but it's okay because baby steps. It's
Yep, yep.
progress. But
Progress.
it's all I can't complain right now. Let's see how it goes. We're just gonna fucking send it, baby, and
Gotta love
hope for the
fantasy
best.
football.
It's either really fun or really shitty. There's no in
Yeah.
between.
For me, it was really shitty this year. My entire roster got injured, and I
Oh,
found in one of my leagues, they changed the rule to make a waiver claim limit. And they set it
oh,
at
what the
10.
fuck?
And so by halfway through the season, with all the injuries my team had, I had Teddy Bridgewater starting at quarterback, and my kicker got released from his team. So, and
Fuck.
Frank Gore is my starting running back right now. So,
That's one of the dumbest rules I've ever heard.
yeah, I wasn't enjoying it either.
I don't blame you.
Their way of saying it was it's the war of attrition.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah,
no,
but
that's stupid. That's whatever. But yeah, that's the things
can't
we
win them all.
like. Sometimes hate, but mostly like. Fantasy football is an enigma, much like Eli Manning's career.
Hmm.
All right, moving on into our NFL Week 15 recap. It sucks. We're already going to NFL Week 16, dude. Where the
I
fuck
know.
is the
Only
season
2 more
gone?
weeks of NFL football.
Oh,
We do have the XFL coming in February, so I'm a little less sad this year than I normally
but
am, just
yeah,
with the hopes of
it.
good football
I
still
feel
being
like we
here.
wait so long for every NFL season. It goes by so quickly.
Yeah,
It's
it
brutal.
does. And now they're talking about shortening the regular season and making a longer postseason.
Ugh,
But I
I
I
don't
like
fucking know
either
anymore.
like I want it to stay how it is, or I want the playoffs to be increased because I
Yeah.
feel like shortening the preseason. I mean, well, they're talking about making one more game in the NFL season and shortening the postseason, which means less teams make it. Which I feel like the problem now is not enough teams make it. So I feel like you shortening it and making even less teams make it is only
hmm
going to make it worse.
I have no idea what they're talking in those closed door meetings. It's just a bunch of autism, verbal autism.
Oh
No, what
no,
was the wolf?
well, we can't make fun of autism.
I'm not making fun of it by any means. Maybe a little bit, but let's go into our top five. A little bit of a switch up. It stayed mostly the same, but there is a new face to the top five, and
Hmm.
that is in our fifth position. The Kansas City Chiefs are now in the top five power rankings for I think like the first time this season, honestly,
Yeah, that's
or at
definitely one
least
of the first times they've
one
been
of
here.
the a few times that they've actually made it onto the top five. They've just cleaned shit up over the past few weeks. They just dismantled my Broncos, and I want to die. Patrick Mahomes is back to his usual self. The defense is playing decent enough football,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they obviously have one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best offense. Shout out to Travis
Definitely.
Kelsey for if the Broncos are going to lose, at least Travis Kelsey got the ball a lot to help me out in fantasy. So positives, silver linings,
Positives. Got to look at the silver lining and everything. The
exactly.
bright side.
One of the few bright sides. But
Fuse.
yeah, still number four, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They're still it's going to be between them and the Niners for that one seed or fifth seed. It kind of sucks that one of them has to play in the first round. Like one of them has to lose that division, and it's kind of a
Yeah.
shame because they're both playing phenomenal football. And I think that only backs up the claim that the NFC West might be the best division in football right now.
Yeah, and I feel like it's only going to get better based off of the future of the teams in the division. And then also, I think this also shows why they should have a divisionless playoff.
Just take the
It
top
should
six
be,
from each conference.
yeah, exactly. It should just be the top 12 teams in the league,
I do like
not,
what Bleacher Report. Some people
yeah.
don't like it, but I really enjoy most of the Gridiron Heights episodes that Bleacher Report puts out. And they
Yeah.
had what was it the clams, the something clams right now. Was it like the ball or it's something clem. So like the LA Rams are trying to sneak into the NFC East. I don't blame them because that division
Yeah,
fucking sucks. It's a
it's
shame.
terrible.
It's a shame
Nobody wants
that
to win that.
the one that either the Seahawks or Niners has to lose that division, and it's a shame that either the Cowboys or Eagles has to win that division and make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's kind of like bad teams are making playoffs. It's like if you're having a bad season, like
Just don't make the
I
playoffs,
thought you
man.
should have made exactly
That's what
because
it's
you're
simple.
most likely going to get ran.
Yeah,
That's the
and
main
that's not
thing
a
is you're
good
most
game.
likely going to make playoffs and get ran. And
Yeah,
I don't want to see a blowout in playoffs. I like good games in playoffs.
I
Even
think
if it's
I
my
think we
team,
all agree on that.
like even if it's my team, I don't want to watch if my team did win by 50, I'm not going to complain.
No, no,
But I'd rather watch a good game, you
exactly.
know.
I think that's
But
most of us. Number three though is the team that is ahead of the Seahawks. That's the Niners. They just had another. The one thing I didn't like is that how they lost to. You know what, Jalen? I made a mistake this week. I made a mistake.
mhm.
I'll admit that. Seahawks are the number three team. The Niners. I'm just thinking. Nah. The more I talk, they're the number four team. The Seahawks are still better than the Niners, especially after blowing that game to Atlanta like that. It was not a good look
Definitely.
for them. The Seahawks are a better team than the Niners.
And then also, I believe the number 4 team. I would even move them to the number 5 team by their failure
Chiefs
to
over the
to
Niners.
yeah,
Ooh.
just because of their failure of that last play for that
Hmm.
kick. Who throws a lateral like that?
Oh, that was embarrassing when they were trying to just make some bullshit with the kickoff, and
Yeah,
it was one of the
and then
ugliest.
they pretty much threw it into the touchdown, and someone recovered it in the
Yeah,
touchdown.
it was bad.
But it was only worse the one play of a team who's never even gotten close to our top 5. Actually, they were kind of close to our top 5 at one point. The Bears.
Maybe maybe at the very beginning of the
Yeah,
season,
the
maybe.
Bears. They had a lateral and they were so close to the touchdown. I think they were probably 10 to 20 yards out. And they had I think who's number 17 over there? Robinson.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson was sitting on the right side of the field, nobody near him. And they lateraled it to their fullback, and their fullback, instead of lateraling it to him so he could run the final 10 yards to the touchdown, fumbles forward
Oh.
into a group of players, just
Oh.
fumbles forward instead of passing it to Allen Robinson with the lateral, where he could have easily just either just sprinted to the touchdown, probably had to run through one person for the touchdown, but he most likely would have got the touchdown.
See, I love a
And
good fullback, but that's not good for the look.
yeah, it
Not at
wasn't
all.
the best move.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
number two team in the NFL after this week is the New Orleans Saints. They're just damn good. They steamrolled the Colts, and Drew Brees. We'll talk about him in a sec. 7 records, dude's amazing, and the Saints. The NFC is going to go through New Orleans, in my
yeah.
opinion.
And I think it's kind of like the NFC is the tougher team to make the playoffs. I mean, tougher conference to make the playoffs in
Mhm.
every year. But I feel like the AFC usually has like a dominant team that comes out of the AFC
Well,
every
half the
single
time
year.
it's the fucking Patriots.
Yeah, so it's like why while there's always that just the AFC is just pretty much trash usually.
Mhm.
Just getting it's usually like it's set pretty much the all season. You can usually tell who's the top 3 seeds are going to be usually,
Yep.
and then they get there, and then it's usually one team dominates all the way through, and they make it to the Super Bowl. NFC, it's like you never know who's going to make it. You never know
It's a
who's going
lot
to
more
win because
competitive.
it's a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
AFC is a lot easier route to go through.
Yeah, it is. But speaking of the AFC, the King of the Hill once again is the number one team in the league. That's the Baltimore Ravens. There's just no stopping them, man.
Nah,
Every
I
week we
don't
say,
know.
like, the past 3 weeks, I think I've said the same thing about the Ravens. That they're just a complete team and there's no stopping them right now. And
Not at all.
you can't take them from the one spot. There's no argument against them being the number one team in the league right now.
You can't. They have a great offense. Their defense could be iffy sometimes, but for the majority of the time, their defense is pretty dominant also.
They also
So
just
it's
got a robot in Justin Tucker who makes everything. So,
golden leg. He missed once, and then he just nailed everything
right?
last week.
But
He was like, "Oh, my bad," and just nailed everything.
he had one glitch, and then he was back to being perfect.
Exactly, and it's
He's
just it's
ridiculous.
they're destructive.
Yeah.
They are absolutely destructive. They also led the league in players sent to the Pro Bowl, and most likely now they're going to get to play in the Pro Bowl. So you also might have a record for most alternates playing in the Pro Bowl.
Fuck. Man,
Yeah,
but I mean, the Pro Bowl's all right. Remember when it used to be good? When the teams actually
yeah,
used to play against each other? When Sean Taylor laid the fuck out of that one punter?
yeah. That was beautiful.
That was when they
R.I.P.
still
Sean
used to
Taylor.
play. Yeah, R.I.P. Sean Taylor. Back when they used to play football in the Pro Bowl. Now it's just a glorified practice scrimmage, you know? It is what it
Yeah,
is, I guess.
it's
The Pro Bowl used to be
yeah,
exciting. Now I couldn't give two shits. Especially because, we'll talk about this later, but the selection's kind of bullshit as well.
yeah.
But that is the top five. We have the Chiefs, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Saints, and the Ravens coming in at the number one spot. Moving on from this, let's talk about some history, Jalen, because
All
history
right.
was made on Monday
Mm.
night down in the Bayou with Drew Brees putting on another record-breaking performance. Drew Brees
Amazing performance.
he was just slicing and dicing, man. And he made the Colts look like shit, which they have been in the past few weeks, but they looked really shitty
Yeah, he made him look extra shitty with shit on top.
with shit on top. Oh boy. But so Drew Brees is now the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Currently, he's at 76,884 yards, and he's at 541 touchdowns, breaking the record of 539 set by Peyton Manning.
Mm.
And also, not only did he break the all-time passing touchdown record on Monday night, he also set the record for highest completion percentage in a game when he went 26 for 27. So
That is beautiful.
he's
I
just
thought he went
amazing.
29 for 30.
Sorry, 29 for 30. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that
it.
was that's beautiful to see. How do you, first off, he had one incompletion. You know how
Yeah.
difficult that is to not accidentally like that means he probably like accidentally like he forgot to wipe his hand, he had a little bit of water on
Not
the
even
ball,
throwing the
accidentally
ball
let
away,
one go.
too.
And then like yeah, no throwing the ball away. He obviously didn't have to clock it. They destroyed them. But
Also, it
just
wasn't just
not
dinks
having
and
to
dunks either. He was putting the ball downfield.
like there was bombs in that game. Like he missed one throw.
That's
One throw.
phenomenal. But that's part of why. Jalen, I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Is he the most underrated quarterback of all time?
Definitely. I think he is definitely one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time.
Is there
If
anyone that
not,
comes
he's
close
definitely top
to his
two.
amount of being just underrated?
I feel like a lot of the other people on this list, it's more they made more things that they were their fault that kind of caused them. I'm not going to say anybody specific, but more of the other people I would consider the top most underrated quarterbacks or players in general of
Mm-hmm.
all time. It's been like things they did, like just like either they committed a crime or like just how they handled something with a team or just something like that. And people kind of look down on their career for that. But Drew Brees is literally the only thing I
He's
could
a
say that
saint,
people,
literally.
yeah,
He plays for the Saints,
that
and that man is a saint.
exactly. I think the only thing people could ever say about Drew Brees, about his play or anything, was he is short.
He has small hands.
That's it.
He makes it
Yeah,
that
short
he's
and
automatically a
small
bad
hands,
quarterback.
and it's not his fault. You can't you can't change the fact that
Yeah, it is.
he's
Just
short.
eat more protein, drink some more milk. Super easy.
Yeah, that's his fault. He didn't drink enough milk as a kid, and that's why he's small.
Fucking true.
Uh,
Man, didn't
but
drink
it's
enough
like
milk.
I feel like he's changing the stigma for short quarterbacks, and he's listed at 6 foot. He's definitely shorter than 6 foot, in my
5'11" and a
opinion.
half. Round up.
Yeah, but I think he changed the stigma is that you don't have to be a 6'3", 6 foot
Mm-hmm.
2+ quarterback to dominate the league. You can be 5 foot and
He's
still.
just the most accurate quarterback of all time. He's one of the most well-versed quarterbacks of all time. I'd argue second smartest. The smartest is always going to be Peyton Manning, because
Yeah.
with the five head like that, that brain was giant and it held everything. But
everything.
Drew Brees is so analytical when it comes to the game.
In my opinion, I think Drew Brees is kind of going to be up there, but I feel like he'll get pushed farther depending on the careers of Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray.
Mhm.
I think based on how they do, let's say Kyler Murray and not even Lamar Jackson. I feel like based off of how Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray play, both being sub 5 foot, sub 6 foot quarterbacks, it's gonna like if they both dominate the league, it's just gonna throw the stigma out the window, and it's gonna make Drew Brees better because it's just the main thing was he's short. Mm-hmm. So if short quarterbacks start doing good, I feel like it's going to boost Drew Brees up because then it's always going to be like, oh yeah, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are good, but the best short quarterback of all time is Drew Brees. So I feel like the better they do, the better it's going to make Drew Brees look, which I think is sad that it has to be like that, but that's just kind of how it is.
Right.
So I'm hoping they both do good just to help him out.
I'm trying to think. I guess the closest, the next most underrated quarterback besides maybe Drew Brees is Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
because that guy was phenomenal, but I haven't heard anyone talk about him in the top quarterbacks of all time.
He's definitely a top quarterback of all time.
He's up there. He had the greatest show on turf. Then he went and killed it in Arizona as well. That guy was phenomenal. He went from bagging groceries. He went from playing in the AFL, and he went to winning Super Bowls and being one of the greatest top 10 quarterback of all time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just they always try to say, oh, he was an undrafted quarterback, and they try to say like, oh, he's one of the best undrafted quarterbacks of all time. But I feel like people never people don't give him the credit. It's like he went to places and dominated. Mm-hmm. Like he stole jobs from people who actually were draft picks. Like he didn't just come in and take jobs from bums. It was he came in and when people were playing good, like Josh McCown early in his career when he was with the Cardinals. He went in there and he got Josh McCown's job. Mm-hmm. And Josh McCown obviously isn't like a Hall of Famer quarterback, but at the same time, he wasn't.
That's a hot take if I've ever heard one.
Josh McCown is not. Even though he was a Cardinals quarterback, I would never say that Josh McCown.
Matt Leinart, he was Hall of Famer.
Never say that.
Hey, Jalen. Jake Plummer, Hall of Famer. Gotta bring up because today is actually his birthday. Happy birthday, Jake Plummer. Played for the Cardinals and the Broncos.
Happy birthday, Jake. Yeah, that's happy birthday, bro. Streamer, all that stuff. But yeah, no, definitely none of those were Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But definitely Kurt Warner is a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yep, one of the most underrated. But honestly, Drew Brees is better.
Yeah.
But we'll see in our rankings. But I just need people to, because now people are going to start respecting Drew Brees just because he's getting in the all-time stat leader in some of these categories. But
yeah, and there's no way to not talk about him.
At least a top 5. You'll hear exactly where he lands on our rankings, but he's at least a top 5 quarterback of all time, and I don't want to hear otherwise because he deserves way more respect than he's given. Way more.
And also, if you don't believe Drew Brees is a top 5 quarterback, go ahead and leave us a message or just direct message us or just send it on to our link on our Twitter or Instagram or even
tell
our
us so
YouTube
we can make fun of you.
Section. Just let us know why you think he's not. But
I would like to hear the argument against him being a top 5, to be honest.
I would love to hear it. Other than he's short. If you're just coming with he's short, we get it, whatever.
But that doesn't fucking matter anymore.
It doesn't.
He stands in the pocket and throws over his 6'5" lineman. So it doesn't matter.
For some reason, being short's a problem.
Right.
It's every single year. It's a new thing of why short people can't play in the league. It's like if Trendon Holiday could play in this league, anyone could play in this league. Trendon Holiday was like 5'6".
Return man for the Broncos, and he was like on a couple other teams. I remember he was a solid return man. He was really I think it was like a 98 speed in Madden, whichever one he was on.
At some point he was like a 98 speed.
He also got blasted by Pat McAfee.
Yeah, that's the only downside to being small. Is you get lifted by some
kickers, man. I mean, all respect to Pat, for the brand. I respect it. He wasn't small by any means, but normally you just don't see kickers lighting up return men. That's just a fact.
Pat McAfee. I feel like if you're gonna get lit up by a kicker, if it's Pat McAfee. I feel like we'll let it slide.
I mean, better than, you remember how the fat fuck Janikowski? Oh boy.
We're talking about big kickers. Let's talk about that Penn State kicker that just
Oh
disappeared out of nowhere.
yeah. I think he actually had legitimate eating issues, but
Uh,
that fucker was
Ouch.
big. No hefty
Yeah,
lefty levels, but man, he was big.
rest in peace, hefty lefty.
I'm pretty sure that Jamarcus Russell and Janikowski had the same exact diet.
About the same.
But
Three pizzas.
Janikowski definitely had the better work ethic. He was a kicker. He still probably watched more film than Jamarcus, which if you just watched a minute, that's more. So good for him.
Yep. Breaking records.
Yep. But Drew Brees, put a little respect on his name, please, because he is a top 5 quarterback at least. But we're going to move on into our next little topic of discussion. And so recently, you might have seen that the NFL has been putting out their list of top 100 players of all time according to skill position, or just position. And so we're going to join them, but we're going to give our top 3. This week we're doing offense. Join us next week because we're going to give our defense and special team top players of all time. But this week we're rolling with offense. We're going to give our top 3 players from each offensive position. And we're actually going to get it right because the NFL fucked it up, personally. Like, just honestly. Their lists are bad. And they give like 10 people, and they're still snubs. And we're only giving our top 3. But this is going to be, obviously, it's going to come with some hot button issues. There are going to be arguments. And I would love to hear them, honestly. I just want to hear your guys' opinion at the end of the day. You know?
Definitely.
And me and Jalen agreed with some of these, but some of them we differ. And, of course, not everyone's going to share the same opinion, even though you might be wrong. But I still want to hear yours.
Just saying.
So we're going to start with the most widely debated top position, and that is a quarterback. Starting with number 3. The third best quarterback of all time is the 5-head, as we previously mentioned, Peyton Manning. The dude was the first one to break the passing yards record, the touchdown record from Favre. He had like some of the most games played. This dude was a genius when it came to football. He knew exactly what the defense was doing it, how they were doing it, and he made the perfect play call every time with the line of scrimmage.
Definitely.
And he's the smartest football player to ever live. And maybe not in his last season or so, he had the arm. Even coming off of 4 neck surgeries, he had the arm. People forget about that. He wasn't just noodle arm his whole career. That was only his last season. But Jalen, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is the Dolphins quarterback, Dan Marino.
The greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. I think Dan Marino, he's definitely been a great mind in football. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks right behind Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
He's just had a dominant career. I feel like the numbers kind of, well, the way football went back in his time was kind of, it was, he played quarterback great for a time when quarterbacks weren't like always the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was still the elite quarterbacks at that time. But in my opinion, I think around that time, other than the very choice few top of the line, it was like a big deficit from top quarterbacks to everyone else.
Yep.
It was like a really good. It was like probably like a good top 5, 6, maybe even 7 quarterbacks, and then there was like the rest of the league. You know, So I think he was just a GOAT. He had 420 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? That's GOAT like right there. You know what I'm saying? 420 touchdowns. Like,
we get it,
he stopped right there on purpose.
We get it.
What I'm saying is Dan Marino smokes weed. That's what I was
thanks. Yeah, we joke. Thanks, Jalen. Oh my! Fuck
also,
you.
he was a great mind in sports. Also, the fact that he sticks around in football today and helps out with some of the young quarterbacks in the game today, just to share some of his knowledge, I think is awesome.
I do like him on. He's on Fox, right?
I believe he's on Fox. Yeah,
he's good. I like him and Terry Bradshaw. Got a good thing going there.
Yeah, and he's just amazing. 9-time Pro Bowler. He played for the Dolphins,
He made the Dolphins look like Super Bowl contenders.
and now look at them.
Well,
He's
he did
also
make them Super Bowl contenders, just never got all the way over the hump.
yeah, so close. And he also won MVP in 1984, so that's also dope.
It's a
But
pretty
I
solid
I
career.
think he is third for me based off of his knowledge
Hmm.
and his ability and having 420 touchdowns, not even the pun of just 420 touchdowns, is
That's a
ranked
lot.
fifth.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of
Especially in
touchdowns
that
to
era
throw.
too.
Exactly. That's 420 touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure he only played 242 career games. So
It's not half
you
bad.
can do the math with that. So not
Yeah.
half bad at all.
But we actually do agree on the number two and the number one best quarterback of all time. But number
Yeah,
two, the quarterback we just previously mentioned, Drew Brees. I don't care what you say. I'm going to put Drew Brees as the second best quarterback of all time, and you can at me on that. I don't care. I want to see your
definitely.
arguments
Go
against
ahead.
that, but in my opinion, Drew Brees is he's underrated because he is the second best quarterback in the NFL history.
Definitely. I think it's literally. I think the only thing you can say against him is he's short.
But once again, that's
Literally.
what other argument do you have? He's doing everything else. He's throwing for passing yards. He's throwing for touchdowns. He's the most accurate quarterback of all time.
Yeah. And since he's been with the Saints, they've never had to think, do we need a new quarterback? It's always been like, what's going to come after Drew Brees? It's always been the worry of after Drew Brees retires, not, oh, what if Drew Brees falls off? It's always been,
Ever
oh
since
my
he
God.
left the Chargers, he
Yeah.
got traded from the Chargers and joined the Saints. It's been history changing.
The Drew Brees trade
Might be the
to,
biggest trade in NFL history.
yeah, I feel like it's as big as probably,
It
I feel like the
reshaped
Drew
two
Brees trade,
franchises.
yeah, I feel like the Drew Brees trade from San Diego to New Orleans is the Kobe trade of the NFL,
Ooh, ooh.
which
Okay.
also was traded from the the Hornets.
When they were still
So
okay. Wow.
were they in New Orleans at that? I think they might have been in Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I'm not sure.
Eh.
They might have been in Charlotte then.
They were one of
I'm not
those. They
sure.
were close, but yeah, yeah.
I don't. I'm not 100% sure on my
We'll just
basketball
add that to
history.
the big if true.
Yeah,
Big if true.
but
Yeah, Drew
that's
Brees,
just
second best
crazy.
quarterback of all time. The best quarterback of all time. I don't think you could really argue against him because he has the stats, he has the talent, and he has, well, a lot of people determine for success. He has the Super Bowls, 5 of them to be exact, and that's Joe Montana. Uh, he was
Yeah,
athletic as hell. He was throwing bombs and throwing for a lot of yards and touchdowns in the era where they still ran the ball a lot. It did help that he has a wide receiver, which we'll talk about in a sec. But greatest quarterback of all time in NFL history. I don't think anyone will surpass him, to be honest. Joe Montana.
yeah, it's definitely going to take a lot to surpass Joe Montana in that way at all. It's going to
I'll
take
say
a
this: if
lot.
Drew Brees wins two Super Bowls, 2 more Super Bowls, I'll put him up there with Joe Montana. If he wins 3 more somehow, I'll say Drew Brees is the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I think his
Patrick
clock's
Mahomes
kind of
still has a
ticking.
chance. Aaron Rodgers still has a chance to get up there, to be honest. Even though he's getting kind of old, he still has a
Yeah,
chance.
I think Drew Brees getting closer to the end of his career. It's not even like play wise. I don't think he's declining play wise. I think it's more injuries. He's gonna end up getting hit, and I feel like he's not
It does help
durable
that he has the
anymore.
best tackle in the league in Ryan Ramsey.
Yeah, it definitely helps that he has a good
However the fuck
line.
you pronounce his last name.
I think it's like Rumstrutsky or something like that.
He's good. That's all.
Something like,
That's all we know. Ryan
yeah,
is
he's
good.
good.
Yeah.
But I just think and nothing is nothing to say about Drew Brees,
No.
and I'm not talking bad about Drew Brees. It's just a fact. When you get older, when you're getting hit all the time, it's definitely going to start hurting more.
Just what
And
happens to old
as seen
people.
when he got injured earlier this season, which I feel like a lot of people forget that he was injured for a good amount of time.
Well, people
And
forgot about that because hey, Bridgewater just lit the shit up and won 4
Yeah.
games.
and I think it's people don't realize he would have broke this record.
A while ago.
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, had he not been injured. So I just think it's kind of getting to that point where we're seeing a lot of the older quarterbacks in the league. They're getting hit a lot more, and it's you hate to see it, but it's gonna happen. It's just how life works. But you hate to see him going out. I hate to see that it's the end of his career, but I feel like he's taken advantage of the career that he's been given. Well,
Exactly.
earned.
Yep. But top three quarterbacks of all time. In your opinion, it's Dan Marino, Drew Brees, and Joe Montana. In my opinion,
Yes.
it's Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Joe Montana. Let's move on into another kind of widely discussed position. That's running back. I'm gonna start this. Jalen, you start this off. Give me your number three best running back of all time.
Okay, my number three running back of all time. I started off my list with the inhuman Adrian Peterson. He is definitely a top running back. He's also inspiration for a lot of the running backs that are in the league today.
He's still doing well, which is crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I'm pretty sure last season he ran for over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see. And even one of the most humblest things I saw was back in one of the playoff games, or I think it was against Minnesota. He could have easily broken the record that he tried so hard to break.
The all-time
And
record.
instead of and instead of breaking it, he rather just go for the team's win, and he didn't want
running
the
out the
pity.
clock. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he didn't want to just get those yards, like, trying to hurry up and break the record. It was whatever the team needed to win. And
One
he
of the
allowed himself
all-time
to
team
not-
players.
Yeah, exactly. And in that moment, I can say right now in the league, probably like 99, almost 99%. I would probably say like 95% of the running backs in the league right now would have went for that record.
Mm-hmm.
And that time they would have went exactly for that record. They would not have given up the chance to take that record down.
Exactly.
And he just humbly I want the team to, however the team can win. And so I think that was beautiful to see.
That's what I'm saying. My third best running back of all time was from an era when the Cowboys were actually respectable and good, and that's Emmitt Smith. He was a big part of that Super Bowl winning team. Not the only Cowboy to make this list. As much as that pains me to say, even though I fucking despise the Cowboys, they had some good players back in the day.
Definitely.
But Emmitt Smith, their best running back of all time. Dude was just good. He was making moves, man.
Yeah, he was Emmitt Smith. This one, the best of all time, definitely.
So you have, I'm gonna say, let's go with your number two first before I give you mine.
All right, my number two of all time. I think actually I'm going to change my number two the way I had it listed. I'm going to move my number two to number one. So my number two running back of all time is Walter Payton. I think he's an amazing man, amazing football player.
So we did end up agreeing on that. Sweetness.
Yeah.
Walter Payton, second best running back of all time. Dude was just so damn versatile back in the day. He made people look so stupid.
Silly. Grown man looked like children on the field playing against him.
Mm-hmm. It was.
It's Walter Payton.
I would be really curious to see what he does in today's NFL back when he was in his prime. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I definitely. That's one thing I always wanted to see is a lot of
eras?
because there's always rule changes and just the way of playing stuff and new techniques.
And talent's just better than it ever has been.
Yeah, and there's always the argument, between your generation and the older generations. Always this guy was the best because that's who was there for them. And then for us, it's always, oh no, this guy was the best because that's who was there for us. We got to see them live and happening right there. So watching highlights compared to having someone do it every single week while we're alive is way different for us. So I'd always wondered what it'd be like if just everyone got to play in their prime just against each other and just see how that went.
That'd be so much fun if we can go back in time and just do that. I think that'd be the best way to use time travel is just to compare all these players at the same time.
Definitely. The best way to use time travel. Nothing else would top that.
Nope. Shit, I can't think of anything. Hey, but number one best quarterback of all time, in my opinion, is One of the guys who I wish had a longer career. Also, he's not the only Detroit Lions player on this list, but Barry Sanders, the greatest running back of all time in NFL history.
Okay, yeah, that's Barry Sanders is definitely
I think him and
an
Walter Payton
amazing
had
running back.
similar running styles, but Barry Sanders was just that much more slippery, I think.
Shiftier.
You know?
Yeah. And,
It,
and he stopped, I'm pretty sure, 99 rush touchdowns.
yeah.
You know, I like for me, I feel like that's more of a today's thing, but I feel like for me, I feel like I would have to come back if I had like 900, like
Just to
let's say
get
I
that
was at
one more.
9,999 rush yards, I would come back for a season and get that yard.
You got to.
I feel like I would hate to stop right at the brink of passing a number like that.
Right.
Like obviously, if he was out like 95 or something like even
Probably won't
95,
go
I'd be
with it.
like
Maybe.
I'd probably come back for it. But if it was like 89 or something like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
let's say 89,
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't come back. I'd be like whatever.
Yeah, but who's
But like
your
99 touchdowns, yeah, I feel like
pretty
that.
damn
Like
good.
you could, like, yeah, you're just like I feel like for me in my head, I would just be like, man, if I would just fell forward one more time,
Right.
if I would have broke one more tackle, would I have that 100 touchdowns?
Probably.
So that's just me.
That's him, but who is your number one running back of all time?
My number one running back of all time, I feel like, just because like his impact on the game now
Mm-hmm.
is Jim Brown.
Oh,
First of all,
okay.
Jim Brown is technically listed as a fullback for the record books, just based off of the scheme that the Browns ran back then.
Mhm.
He's technically listed as a fullback, but he played the running back position and a fullback pretty much
Yeah.
position. Yeah. So I think Jim Brown, he's definitely
changed
a
the game.
reason. He changed the game. Like people weren't playing like that. It was a lot of just brutes in the game. And he could run anybody over still. But at the same time, he was just dominant on the field. He rushed 2,359 times. That is a lot of rushes in a career.
It's impressive
And just
just to be
to,
able to do that.
just to even touch the ball 2,359 times, you have to really be trusted. No one's going to hand you the ball over 2,000 times if you suck.
Right? But his durability is impressive.
Definitely, his durability is
Doc
one of
Gear
the
was
best.
dog shit when he was playing.
Yeah, and he was 6'2", 232 pounds.
Pretty damn big for that era.
Yeah, he rushed for 12,312 yards in his career. He averaged 5.2 yards. And of 2,359 rushes, he averaged 5.2 yards a carry. That is insane.
That's nutty.
And ended up scoring 106 touchdowns in his career. I think in today's football, if he played with the same intensity that he played with in his prime, he would definitely break all of his career highs.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
And he's a Hall of Famer, 9-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All Pro, NFL champ. He gave the Browns an NFL championship. Like
They're only one.
that's greatness in itself.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
He could probably do it again if he came back.
No.
No.
Okay. Let's not go that far. The Browns are trash now.
Browns
He would
fucking
definitely
need
still be one of the best running backs of all time.
Yeah.
But I do not think
Yeah. But
he
the
would
number
lead these
3,
Browns.
in my opinion, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders. Jalen, you said Adrian Pearson, Walter Payton, and then the iconic Jim Brown. I'm
Yes,
cool with
sir.
that. Moving on to wide receiver now. Jalen, your third best wide receiver of all time.
I'm gonna let you go first since you've been nice all this whole entire
Thank
time.
you.
I'm gonna give you some of the nicest back.
Thank you. One of the it's another Detroit Lions player, like I alluded to earlier. Had a shortened career, left on his own terms, but honestly, one of the third most dominant and best wide receiver of all time is Calvin Johnson. Megatron was an absolute animal on the field. I remember watching the sports
beast.
science on him, but dude had like a range of like 5 yards or something like that all around him. He could catch anything that got close to him. He had hands, he had speed, and he could run the motherfucker over if he needed to.
Clean. He could just clean, like not just like one of those and drag you. He knocked you to the ground, and
He
you
played
didn't
like
know
a
where
fullback, but he had hands like with like nothing else. He was so good.
Yeah, definitely. He was a beast on that field, and it is amazing to see.
Yeah, Jalen, you're third.
My number three receiver of all time is Randy Moss. You know,
Ooh, okay.
he comes out the mouth of
We
kids
kind of
all over the
disagree on
country.
this.
Yeah, I think I got Randy Moss as my third.
That's not bad though.
He's definitely one of the best of all time. You know, when you get your last name yelled out when someone jumps and makes an
You
amazing
got
catch, and it's
Moss.
like that's a Moss.
That's
Like
iconic. That's how you
exactly.
know you did
It,
something right. If people say your name when you get an amazing catch, that's something else right there.
like all you hear on the NFL today is that was a Moss-like catch. I mean, a lot of reporters now are trying to be modern and say, "Oh, look at the Odell catch,"
All right.
just because of Odell's catch. Like Odell, I think
No,
catches great. He has great
getting
hands,
the
but
term
Randy
getting
Moss,
Moss is going to exist until the end of football.
exactly. It's
That's
just
a damn
it,
good
it,
sign of how
the things he
impactful
would
he
do
was.
on the field was just absolutely amazing.
I
And you
agree.
cannot recreate a lot of those moments that he had. Like even one of his best plays, I think, wasn't even him scoring a touchdown. I think one of his best plays, or at least one of my favorite plays, was when he played for Minnesota and he caught a deep pass and lateraled it back.
Right?
That was amazing to me. And I think to be able to catch a ball, first of all, a contested ball, it wasn't like he just caught it by himself.
Mhm.
Caught a contested ball, get hit, and still make a perfect pitch back at the same time
Mhm.
as somebody was running full speed past you. He wasn't stopped there. He was running past.
Also, let's just say Randy Moss might have had the most iconic performance of all time is on Thanksgiving against Dallas. Stat line: 3 catches, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's never going to happen again.
Never.
It was
And that wasn't even on purpose. It wasn't like,
no,
hey, Randy, we're going to throw you 3 touchdowns.
no.
We're
Randy's
going to
just
throw you
that
a
fucking
touchdown
good,
this play.
man.
It was literally throwing to Randy, hey, Randy, go make a play after we throw it to you.
Right?
And
Randy, you're never going to see
he's
that stat
gone.
line. You're never going to see 3 catches for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns again. No one's going to get close. That's
Not even close.
ridiculous. But for that reason, that's why Randy Moss is my second best receiver of all time.
Mm.
Who's yours?
My second best receiver of all time is Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay, I'm
I
fine with
think the
that.
stats show for themselves. I think he has the most reliable hands of all
One
time.
of the nicest people of
Uh,
all time. Walter Payton Man of the Year.
exactly. I think Larry Fitzgerald is just it's you can't. There's nothing bad you can say about this man. Like
He's one of the
obviously,
nicest people of all time.
exactly. And I
Like
think
he's
he's
like Drew
always been one of the
Brees-esque,
best well rounded.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. I think he's the Drew Brees
wide
the
receivers.
of the wide receivers. I think a lot of the time Larry Fitzgerald isn't looked at as one of the best just based off the his team hasn't always had the most success. And I think that still I feel like that should make him look even better. The fact that he's played with so many quarterbacks. I've lost count at this point. I think the count's up to like 16
Jeez,
at this point. He's
that's
played with
brutal.
16 different quarterbacks. And out of all those quarterbacks, probably one, at most two of them would make the Hall of Fame. I
Yeah.
would say Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer are the only two who could. Carson Palmer, if Kurt
Nah,
Warner's obviously going to make the
that's
Hall
a
of Fame,
stretch.
Kurt Warner might just make it just more at the fact that
He's amazing.
he played. Yeah, it just he had really amazing years,
Yeah,
but then he did have a couple of down years.
of course.
So he's really iffy. If he does make it, it'll be like a couple. It's going to be it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's
Uh,
definitely going to be a debate.
I totally agree. Dude's amazing. One of the nicest people you ever meet. But number one wide receiver of all time, we both agree on this, and it's really hard to argue against this one as well. Jerry Rice, he was a generational talent, probably the hardest working NFL player of all time. He caught everything, disregard the whole
Everything.
stick 'em kind of thing. But he caught everything. His route running was just amazing. It doesn't matter if you stick him because that was a whole controversy. It doesn't matter if he used it because he was 3 to 5 yards open every time the ball got thrown his way. Stick him isn't going to help you with that. He right.
Yeah,
He was unreal with his route running. No one could keep up with him. No one could cover him. I know there's can't guard Mike, man, but you could not guard Jerry Rice. He's NFL records for what most receiving yards, most receptions, and most receiving touchdowns of all time.
exactly. And it's his records aren't just like barely beating everyone
No,
else.
there is a big gap. There's
There is a big gap. Like it's crazy how big a difference there is from his records to everyone else's records. And Larry Fitzgerald is second on this list for me, and second in a lot of the records that Jerry Rice holds. He is second, close second.
Yeah.
For most of those records, Larry Fitzgerald is a good amount of time back. Like a lot of the records, it would take him a couple more seasons to get close to, let alone break. So it is definitely to be able to do that. I think Jerry Rice's records, in my opinion, other than those random records the NFL makes up, like doing something in 7 seasons. Oh, he caught 3 passes on a windy day.
Stats
Yeah,
are
like-
the most all time. That's a stat, right?
Yeah, exactly. I hate when they make up the random records out
Just
of
to
nowhere.
make
Like,
people
oh,
look good. That's what they do with LeBron
Yeah.
a lot over in the NBA.
yeah, it's like, oh, he's the first person at 21 to make 5 jump shots on 3 different days
Right.
when it was raining outside
The most-
after someone got murdered. Like,
The most specific shit of all time.
yeah, and it's like, obviously, if you make it like that, like the first person named Jerry Rice to catch a ball is
stupid.
he holds just crazy. I think
And
his
those records aren't. They're going to stand the test of time as well.
Yeah, I feel like they will, unless someone literally just comes out and catches. Well, like, because at one point Jerry Rice was getting like 1,800 yards a season, like that is not easy.
No.
he had 1,800 yards in a season. You do not see people do that often because it's not easy to do, and that's destructive records. Is because he would do stuff like that. It's the unbelievable stuff. And like you could say nowadays, the game he had is more fit for today's game than it was back then. Like his records would be even more like crazy
Right?
today. So it's just unbelievable
No.
to think about
Yeah.
or even talk about.
But the best receivers of all time, he said Calvin Johnson is third best. We both said Randy Moss, or I said Calvin Johnson, then Randy Moss and Jerry Rice. Jalen said you said Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jerry Rice. Both very respectable
Yes.
lists. Moving on to tight ends now. Might be a little. Some people might disagree because people like the NFL. Yeah, Mike Ditka, best tight end of all time. I disagree. Third best. With third best tight end of all time, Antonio Gates. When he was on the Chargers, that guy was something else. He caught everything. He was getting so many touchdowns. He was a tight end putting up wide receiver numbers, and it was unreal. He made Phillip Rivers look like a god on that field. Man, remember the Chargers when they had the nice navy blue jerseys with Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Antonio Gates. That was a team right there.
That is destructive. When
That's also when they had the top defense, top offense, but the worst special teams, and ended up losing because of that. So, congrats, Chargers, on being the best, it being the worst somehow. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
You're third best tight end of all time.
My third best tight end of all time is also Antonio Gates.
Do our lists match on this one as well?
Our lists match identically on this one.
Fuck yeah. I mean, it's hard not to argue. Second best tight end of all time. He might have had his career a little short, but when he was playing, he was a dominant beast, and you couldn't tackle. You had to get like 3 or 4 people to tackle him, and it was unreal watching this guy play in his prime. That's Rob Gronkowski. The guy was just a fucking animal. He was a horse. He was
Let's get it correct.
Clydesdale on that field.
He wasn't just an animal. He was a party animal.
Okay.
A party animal.
Thank you.
Rob Gronkowski, just amazing. And it's like when you listen to him and like listen to him as a person, he does not seem like he would be just like some dominant football player. He seems like he kind of be like some meathead.
No,
Kind of just, but the way he played was so like
good.
intelligent.
And he played with a chip on his shoulder like no one else, man. He was animal.
Exactly. And he always accepted. No, I mean, let's not say always, but for the most part, he accepted when it was his fault and when he needed to get better.
Yeah.
And also when he was injured, just playing for the team, he knew his team system needed him
Right.
to work.
Man,
And
that
so
elbow
he would-
brace became a part of him.
Exactly. And that elbow brace was just iconic. It was him. And so I think he is definitely going to revolutionize the game
Yeah, he is.
for a lot of the tight ends coming up now. they see how Rob played, and a lot of them want to do that same thing of being a dominant. He was a great, like, I feel like it's not talked about enough, but Rob Gronkowski was a great blocker.
Yeah, he
Other than
was.
just the receiving threat, he was an amazing blocker for the Patriots team, and I are now trying to be great blockers and also a top receiving threat. Like, not because a lot of tight ends when they came into the NFL were either a great blocker or they were a great,
They
pretty much
weren't
a
both.
gigantic receiver. It was really hard to find one that was both.
Gronk was a
And I feel
hybrid.
like,
That's for sure.
yeah, exactly. And
He was.
so
I mean,
he's
he was
really
one of the
brought
only
in.
killers. There were two killers on the Patriots team when they were both playing together, both tight ends. But one was a killer on the field and one was a killer off the field. Shout out to Aaron
And
Hernandez.
I'm
He's
glad
just
he
hanging in
chose the
there
right
still.
one.
I'm sure he is.
No,
Um,
okay, wow.
uh, number one tight end of all time. He was a game changer. He was so damn dynamic. He had hands, he had speed, he had size. He played for two teams, and he was amazing on both teams he played for. That's Tony Gonzalez, best tight end of all time.
Agreed. It's Tony G, man.
Tony
You
G.
can't. He was dominant on the Chiefs. He was dominant on the Falcons.
He
And
made the Falcons, man.
it's crazy what he was able to do. He great one hand catches, great two hand catches, dunked on the goalpost.
That was probably the best part. Remember when he dunked
Yeah,
on the goalpost too hard and made it crooked, so they had to go out and fix it?
Yeah, and then Jimmy Graham came in doing the same thing.
Oh boy, yeah, but that all that stuff was amazing. But tight ends 3-1. We're going Antonio Gates, Rob Gronkowski, and Tony Gonzalez. Moving into the most
Definitely.
important part of the team, I'll say that I don't give a fuck. Let me win games. Offensive tackle. We're going from 3 to 1 again, and on the O lineman. Jalen just agreed with me because I'm right, and it's hard to argue against me sometimes. I know.
I mean, it's just these linemen. We grew up watching the same stuff,
Yeah,
and we and Ross kind of just with the linemen. It's always been the same thing for us. So
got the same
we agree
opinions
100%
on these
on the
guys.
entire offensive line.
Yep. Starting with offensive tackle, one of the guys. I'm pissed because if you go on the NFL website, look at their top 100 tackles. There's like 10 of them, and there's like 6 of them, and Joe Thomas didn't even make that 6. Joe Thomas is the third best tackle of all time for playing as many snaps in a row as he did, for going through how many different offenses and quarterbacks and head coaches as he did, for just being a team player, putting his head down and working, and never really expecting much in return, especially playing for the Browns. He was amazing. He's a future Hall of Famer, and he realistically is a top 3 tackle of all time. Put a little more respect on his name, please.
Definitely. He's been dominant. And to go to that many different schemes, I don't know if you guys know how difficult it is to go and change an offensive scheme for an offensive lineman.
It's so
It's
hard,
not
man.
all. Yeah, it's not always just
I can speak
for
from
linemen.
experience.
Yeah, it's not to just for linemen. It's not always just go out there and be a brute. Like you
No.
can't. Like there's a lot of just terminology and movements and steps that you have to take. And while doing this, you always have to think while also making these steps and then also stopping these beasts of men that are on the opposite side of the ball in the defensive line, which we will talk about next week's show, obviously. But to do that and also memorize the scheme
Yep.
while also knowing that the original scheme can break down at any point and you're just going to have to free play it. To do that the way he did it in so many different schemes is just amazing.
Yep. Second best offensive tackle of all time, Walter Jones. A little more of a throwback, this guy, but he was a beast. He big time guy in the Seahawks. Started from 1997 to 2008. The guy was just amazing. Really athletic, really strong and big, and he just made plays everywhere he went.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's it's a throwback. It's definitely a throwback.
The number
But,
one players, the number one offensive tackle of all time is also a throwback too.
Exactly.
This weekend.
I think linemen it's kind of just like linemen have always been like not the same,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like lineman is one of the few positions where you can go back through the test of time, and a lot of them would still be good today.
right? Yeah,
I,
all these guys are just amazing. The best offensive tackle of all time is a Hall of Famer, the legend Anthony Munoz. He's a guy that people tried to mimic their game after. He was just this beast on the man. He was just ridiculously good. He was athletic on the playing the edge, and I don't think any. It would be hard to pass him as the best to take the title away from him as the best tackle of all time.
yeah, I'm glad we could agree with NFL on something.
Some things, at least. Moving into guards, offensive guards. Third best one, Randall McDaniel. The guards gotta go a little more back in time for some of these guys. Big guy in the Vikings. He was just tearing up that interior. And no one's going to get through him, honestly.
No, beast in the middle. His grip, strength.
His arms are fucking huge.
Yeah, he was jacked for sure.
Second best guard of all time. It kind of hurts to say because he did play for the Raiders, but it's Gene Upshaw, Hall of Famer. Just game changer. He was so damn good on the Raiders. He's what made that Raiders era as good as they were back when they were actually winning Super Bowls in the 80s. Hasn't really been much of late, but the Raiders were good, and I'm willing to admit that.
Yeah, and he was definitely a big upside for them. He was destructive. It was obviously somebody you hated to have to go through every single week. Mm-hmm. So I feel bad for people in that division when they had to play him.
Right.
Because when you have to play him multiple times in a season, it's not something that you look forward to.
Not at all. But moving on to the best guard of all time. He's the best offensive lineman of all time. I'm going to say the best lineman in general of all time. One of the top players of all time. This is my favorite player, so it might be a little biased. But Larry Allen, guard for the Dallas Cowboys, the greatest offensive lineman of all time. I don't think anyone's going to get close, just based on his size. He's a big guy, and you guys should all look at the play. You see when he ran. There's I forget who they're playing, but he chased down a defensive back that almost scored a pick six on them. He caught up to him, which was ridiculous. That's scary. Imagine seeing a big guy move that fast. But that's why he was so good on powers. He pulled. If you're a linebacker and you see Larry Allen pulling up through the hole, all you do is shit yourself and try not to die.
Yeah, because he's going to hit you and you're going to feel it.
Larry Allen manhandled everyone he faced. He was just so fucking strong. His technique was perfect. And there's no one better at the game than Larry Allen was. No one had a bigger impact, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's a man that you see him and it's like, first of all, he looks intimidating, and then
he's a scary dude.
He gets it more intimidating when he gets his hands on you. Like,
right?
There's nothing you can do. I really want to see Larry Allen in his prime go against Aaron Donald in his prime.
I'm putting my money on Larry. I'm putting my money on Larry.
I would, but I would still like to see if.
Oh, I would love to see
if Aaron Donald.
Give me the one-on-ones of that, please. Give me the one-on-ones. when you take the step over bags and you put them like 3 yards apart, it's just mano a mano drive and try to get past. Oh, I would love that. That's the best drill at practice, too, by the way.
That would.
But Larry Allen was probably half the reason for Emmitt Smith's success, if we're being honest.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. But Larry Allen, I could watch his highlights all day, every day. One of the best players of all time, just in general.
Yeah, and also a fact about Larry Allen, in a season of when his team did 480 pass plays, which is a lot. I don't know if you guys know that's a big number.
It's
480 a lot. Pass plays.
Pick our words.
That entire line, not even just Larry himself, but that entire line only gave up 35 sacks that season.
That's one hell of a stat right there.
Out of 480 pass plays, 35 sacks were allowed. Those weren't even saying that those were Larry's fault, just in general. He was a part of that line.
Yeah. The Cowboys, back in the 90s, when they were actually good, they were good. And
They were
that O line
destructive.
was just amazing. But Larry Allen, the best offensive lineman of all time. I will go to the grave saying that. No one will ever pass him. But finishing
Yeah,
off
definitely.
our last position on the list is the centers. One of the guys, the third best center in NFL history. Some people might disagree. It's okay. Like we said before, please share your comments. But he was a guy that played with Peyton Manning over in Indianapolis. I'm really disappointed that the NFL didn't even include them. He wasn't even on the team at all. But that's Jeff Saturday. He was good. He was damn
Yeah.
good, and he he was. I guess
Just
he
for
was
the viewers out
underrated
there,
because he wasn't even on the list. So I guess
yeah,
Jeff
just for the
Saturday.
viewers out there who can't see our list, Ross's list does include three people. My list has one person on it. My list just says Jeff Saturday. That's it. I don't have anybody else on my list
You don't need
because
anyone
the
else.
disrespect that they did put on him for not even including him on the list. Like if you had at least made the list, I'd be like, all right, whatever,
Right.
debatable.
But no,
But
Jeff.
you
At
didn't even
least
put him
put
on
him
the
on the
list.
fucking list. Jeff
So
Saturday.
my list of top centers of all time is just Jeff Saturday. That is my
There you go.
list. Jeff
That's our
Saturday.
fuck you to the NFL with being stupid with this list.
my list is Jeff fucking Saturday. That's my top three.
Damn, that's all we need. But just I don't even need to talk about the other two people. I'm just gonna mention Jim Otto, one of the greatest of all time. Obviously, another Raiders player, so it kind of sucks. It was weird seeing him in double zeros back in that era. But best and then best center of all time, Steelers legend Mike Webster. Um, Part of that steel curtain team that they had. But who the fuck cares? Jeff Saturday, please put a little more respect on his name. I love you, Jeff.
For sure. Love you, Jeff.
Love you,
If
Jeff.
you ever want to come on the show, you're always welcome.
Just meet me. I just want to meet you. You don't even need me on the show, Doc. Just let me shake your hand. But yeah,
Respectable.
man. There's our offense top three. I'm not gonna recap the whole thing. You can just listen through again. Um, but we'll have defense and special teams next week. Before we end the show, I just want to air some grievances, just like people getting snubbed for the NFL Top 100. Let's talk about the Pro Bowl real quick. One of the biggest
All right.
snubs. I might sound like a homer saying this, and I'm okay. I'll accept that criticism. But I think the biggest Pro Bowl snub for this year is Broncos safety Justin Simmons. He had the guy
Okay.
Earl Thomas made the Pro Bowl. Got way more votes than Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons wasn't even an alternate for the Pro Bowl. But listen to these stats. All right, Jones. I'm just going to give you the stats. Not going to give you the
All
names
right.
of
All
them.
right. I'm listening. I'm
And
listening.
okay, so this player won 45 total tackles, 30 solo, 15 assists, 2 interceptions, and he gave up 19 yards averaged whenever he gave up a reception. Player number 2, 84 total tackles, 59 solo, 25 assisted, 4 interceptions, and only 7.5 yards averaged against them. Can you name the players?
Can I name the players?
Yeah,
These are the safeties?
yeah. Who is player 1?
Ah, player one, 49 tackles. Ooh, that's tough. I know player two is
45.
Justin Simmons. 45.
45.
I know for sure those. I know those Justin Simmons numbers, so I
Mhm.
know for sure that player two is Justin
Yep.
Simmons. I'm not sure.
Number
who player
one did make
is.
the Pro Bowl. If I'm being honest, if I'm giving you a hint, bigger hint, he plays for the Ravens.
Wait, you said he did make the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah, player 1 did make the Pro Bowl.
Did or did not?
He did.
We're talking about Earl Thomas.
Yeah, that's Earl Thomas. How the fuck is Earl Thomas gonna have only 45 tackles, 2 less interceptions, and giving up 12 and a half yards average reception against them? But he's going to make the Pro Bowl over Justin Simmons, and Justin Simmons isn't even going to be an alternate for the game. I don't give a shit about the Pro Bowl, but I'm pissed because Justin Simmons is just being disrespected at this point. He's a top 3 safety in the
Definitely.
league, and he can't even make the fucking Pro Bowl as an alternate. Give me a fucking break.
Definitely.
Sorry, let me get off
Definitely
my fucking box or whatever. But sweet fuck NFL, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah, that's. No, I mean it's. I don't understand if someone could put up numbers like that and not even be an alternate. It's
Right.
crazy.
That kind of negates any kind of oomph to the Pro Bowl. It takes away its meaning. If a guy
Yeah,
can put up those numbers and not even be an alternate, I mean, what's the point of the Pro Bowl if you're not going to put the best players in the Pro Bowl?
exactly.
Pro Bowl used to be good. Now it's gone to shit because you just have all this bullshit politicking in the NFL.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but you were telling me before the show you also have beef. Might not be as big of a beef with the NFL, but you do still have one.
Mine isn't as big just because he's an alternate still, and because of the position he plays. My Pro Bowl snub was Zane Gonzalez, for a kicker for the Cardinals. He is definitely one of the top kickers in the league right now. That is without a doubt. Um, it's just he got beat out by Will Lutz to be the kicker, which I'm nothing wrong with Will Lutz. Will Lutz is a great kicker,
Mm-hmm.
but and the stats that matter, in my opinion, field goals made, like field goal percentage. Zane Gonzalez beats Will Lutz.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, if we're going off of stats and we're just like in general, why is Zane Gonzalez not in the Pro Bowl?
Who knows, man? Who the fuck knows?
It's like I understand it's a voting process, but at the same time,
Here's
it's
the
like,
reason why these two guys didn't make the Pro Bowl. It's because you're on teams with losing records, and the people that got above them are Super Bowl contenders. That's the only
Exactly.
logical reason I could see. It's a reason. I
Yeah.
think it's a stupid ass reason, but that's the reason. I don't get that.
Yeah,
I hate
and
that
like
so much.
in my opinion, and not in my opinion, the stats, one of the only stats that Will Lutz ends up beating Zane Gonzalez in overall is extra points made. And the only reason he has more extra points made is because the extra points attempted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his team scores more, obviously, but at the same time, I feel like Zane Gonzalez has been more of an asset to his team because he's had to score more points
Yep.
than Will Lutz has had to score, just based off the fact that he's had to kick more field goals because his team hasn't been able to finish
I agree.
drives. So, just in my opinion, I know it's a vote, but at the same time, I feel like the NFL pushes for more people
Yep.
or for certain people to make the Pro Bowl than they do for others, and I feel like it should just be off of stats and play instead of what your team's doing.
I totally agree with you on that. Guess the one thing, the one other reason I guess Zane Gonzalez might or why Will Lutz may in over him is because he has a better nickname. You can't be Big Nut Lut, Big Nuts Lutz.
No, you cannot be. I mean, Zane Gonzalez is one of the best kickers in college football history, and hopefully, if he keeps up what he's doing this season, he'll be one of the best kickers in NFL history. Hopefully.
Yep, and we'll give our best kicker in NFL history next week. You guys just gonna have to stay tuned. But with that, we're going to wrap up for this week. We thank you all for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different layout to the show. I hope you agreed with most of our picks, but even if you disagreed, I would love that as well. So just leave a comment on the Twitter, on the Instagram, or on the YouTube, just right below this video, and tell us what you think. Tell us where we were wrong, and tell us where you think you're right. And we could talk about that on the next show. Honestly, if anyone brings that up, we'll make a point, and we'll face your argument, and we'll discuss.
Definitely, and just going forward with this show, we'll definitely be looking forward to interact with fans more, add more segments to the show, and just stuff that can be more interactive.
If you guys want something,
involved.
tell us, and we'll consider it, and we might put it on the show. Or if you have like comments, if you have hot button issues, we'll answer on the show for you.
Yeah, exactly. At some point, we're gonna start our fan of the week. So you gotta start getting out there to comment and mentioning and just interacting with us. You can get a shout out on the show, fan of the week. So definitely go out there.
Who wouldn't want to be shouted out by us? The best podcast in the game, without hands down. No bias on
best podcast in the game. No bias. You know what I'm saying? I listen to us every single week.
It's hard not to.
It's hard.
It's so good. It's so gripping, you know? Just the best conversations, best breakdown,
we
best analysis, best opinions.
Exactly.
It's just what we do, man. But like I said, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And just keep a lookout. We got some big time shows planned. We got some end of the year shows. We got some end of the decade shows planned that we're going to be releasing within the coming weeks. And you guys
And also,
yeah.
our next week's show will be the first time me and Ross will be recording in the same place
Ooh.
since our first show. And that was back when we did not have this down at
That was
all.
also back when we did not know what the fuck we were doing. Man, if you listen
We just kind of
to the
went.
difference between the first show and this show, it's night and day.
Audio is definitely
it's like
something else.
It's like 2 years ago Niners against this year's Niners. Two different teams.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're making improvements, and we hope to just get better and better. And hopefully, being in person again, we could try to make a better show for you guys.
Yeah, man.
Add a couple more things and just make it a great time.
Hey, right now is the best time to hop on the train, so you're not called a bandwagon when we're big and famous, and then you just start enjoying us. You know.
Yep.
You're gonna be a fan from day one of the first days. And who would want to say that? Good bragging rights, right?
Great bagging rates.
Yeah, but we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like and share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, like I said, and we will catch you guys in the next one.